My beloved child, you've been quiet for some time now. Not just in the way you speak to others, but in the deeper, quieter way you've stopped speaking to me. There's been a slow drift inside you, a stillness that you didn't choose, but somehow settled in. A heaviness you can't quite name has pressed into your soul. No, you haven't stopped believing. But you've stopped reaching. You used to come to me with your whole heart, wide open, unguarded, childlike. Now, it's as if your soul has slowly closed its door. Not slammed shut. Just quietly, closed. Like a door gently pushed by the wind. No sound. No announcement. Just a quiet retreat. You didn't mean for it to happen. Life simply wore you down, inch by inch, moment by moment. And somewhere along the path, silence began to feel safer than vulnerability. You've been carrying so much inside, unsure of how to let it out. You wanted to speak to me. But your voice felt too unsure, too heavy, too tired. So you said less. You prayed less. You stopped waiting for some emotional feeling before coming to me. And eventually, you began to wonder. Have you noticed, God? Have you noticed that my silence has settled in? Do you still care when I barely know how to speak anymore? What you didn't know, what you couldn't have known, is this: I never turned away. Not even for a moment. I didn't leave when the words left your mouth. I stayed, even when you couldn't feel me. I stayed when your prayers grew quiet. I stayed when you questioned whether I still loved the version of you who felt tired, numb, and weary. Your silence didn't push me away. Because, child, I don't require noise to stay close. I've been present in every pause. I've listened to the pain that you didn't know how to name, and I've carried the weight you couldn't carry alone, even when your lips said nothing. Let me say this clearly: this silence you've walked through. It's not failure. It's not a setback. It's not even delay. It's an invitation, one you didn't know you were answering. Before we go further, I want you to pause. If something in this message is stirring your soul, it's not by chance. I want you to feel seen. I want you to feel held. So if you're listening right now, take a moment to like this video, and subscribe to Listen to Almighty. Not for the numbers, but because your spirit needs more words like this. And I promise, I will keep speaking them to you. Now listen closely. I know the silence hasn't felt easy. I know there have been moments where you looked inward and thought, what's wrong with me? You feared that maybe your faith had faded. Maybe your love for me wasn't strong enough anymore. Maybe your passion had grown cold and I had drifted far. But beloved, the truth is far more tender than you've believed. This hasn't been disconnection. It's been exposure. It's what happens when all the distractions are stripped away. When your soul becomes bare, and is learning to trust me again, without the performance, without the noise, without the emotional show. There's something sacred in this version of you. The one who has nothing left to prove. The one who feels empty, yet still shows up. The one who doesn't have a script, but still stays in the room with me. You think you've stalled. But I see a soul that is now finally quiet enough to hear me clearly. Because for the first time in a long time, there's room. Room for me to plant something new. You haven't filled it with striving, obligation, or noise. This stillness, this silence, isn't proof of your failure. It's proof of your surrender. You didn't shut me out. You simply didn't know how to bring me something you couldn't define. And the good news? I don't need clarity from you. I never have. I just need your permission. And you gave it. Not with words, but by staying here. By continuing to walk forward even when your heart felt tired. Even without the same language you used to have. You pressed your hand to your heart in the quiet. You closed your eyes without a single word. You breathed deeply instead of speaking. And child, I was there for all of it. And to me, those were prayers. You didn't know it, but they were. You are not responsible for forcing your healing to move faster. That's never been your job. You are responsible only for protecting what I've planted. And you don't protect it through perfection. You protect it through alignment, walking closely with me, in the simplest parts of your life. This isn't just a spiritual high. It's a new way of being. A different rhythm. A quieter strength. A life that flows with me, not just reaches for me in moments of desperation. So let's start with something sacred, your body. Your body has held more than you've realized. It has absorbed your survival mode, your silent battles, your held-back tears. You've been bracing without noticing. Tense shoulders. Shallow breathing. A clenched jaw. These aren't just stress responses. They're signals from your soul. And I'm not asking you to simply relax. I'm asking you to honor your body, as the dwelling place of my spirit. The sacred space I created, to walk with you in. When you breathe with intention, when you place your hand over your heart and exhale deeply, you return to my first gift, breath. You're not just calming your nerves. You're saying, God, I remember you're here. You're letting go of what you were never meant to carry alone. If all you did for now was pause, twice a day. Sit in silence. Breathe slowly. Feel my presence. Healing would multiply, not because of a technique, but because of awareness. You weren't created to live numb. You were created to live attuned, to your body, to my spirit, and to what is real. Let's talk about your rhythms. You've lived too long under urgency, always rushing, reacting, adjusting. But beloved, urgency is not your identity. You are not late. You are not behind. You are on time, with me. And time is not your enemy. Time is your ally when you walk with me. So let's restore your rhythms. Rest is not a reward for your productivity. It's part of your design. And when you honor that rest, whether in a walk without your phone, or a morning where silence is not filled with noise, your spirit will begin to trust you again. I want you to feel safe within your own soul. Safe to slow down. Safe to breathe. Safe to not explain every feeling. You don't owe everyone your deepest thoughts. You are allowed to conserve your energy. To say no. To remain quiet in some places and full in others. This isn't withdrawal. It's wisdom. Because you're emerging with something sacred in your hands. And you don't need to give it away too soon. Let it root deeply in you. Let it transform you before it becomes something you try to explain. This is your permission to walk slower. To say yes less often. To think more gently. Even your mind needs margin. You've been trained to overprocess. To live in loops of mental rehearsal. But clarity doesn't live in overthinking, it lives in surrender. So the next time the spiral starts, stop and whisper, God is still here. I am not alone. This isn't denial. This is anchoring. And if you find yourself falling into old patterns, don't panic. Don't spiral into shame. Just return. Return without explanation. Return without trying to recover a feeling. Just come back to breath. Back to stillness. Back to me. That is how we'll walk this next season together. Not with perfection, but with rhythm. Not with force, but with grace. You don't have to chase momentum. You just need consistency. You don't have to prove you're healed. You just have to keep choosing peace. You don't need to make announcements. Just show up where I lead you. Even if it's quietly. Even if no one notices but me. Your healing is not fragile. But it does deserve care. And I will help you protect it. Not by isolating you, but by teaching you to honor the strength I've placed inside you. You're learning to live differently now. Not through emotion, but through sustainable peace. Not through urgency, but through flow. Not through noise, but through truth. Yes, it may feel unfamiliar. But let me tell you something, it fits. This way of living, this gentle, grounded way, was always meant for you. So we'll continue forward, slowly and faithfully, together. Now, let's go even deeper. There are names you've started answering to that I never gave you. Quiet ones. Internal ones. They formed through repetition, not loud, but consistent. And now they echo in your silence, unreliable. Emotionally distant. Too much. Not enough. You never said them aloud. But they've shaped how you see yourself. And today, I call them out. Not to shame you, but to free you. Somewhere along the way, you labeled yourself as unstable, simply because your faith felt unpredictable. But I never called you that. You thought your inconsistency meant you were weak. You thought your silence meant you were disconnected. But I saw the truth, you kept showing up. You stayed close. Even if all you could do was sit in the room without words. That's not coldness. That's courage. You've also worn the name, too much. Because when you finally tried to open up, you were met with silence or discomfort. So you learned to shrink, to carry your pain alone. But hear me clearly, you were never too much for me. Never. Your presence, even in pieces, has always been welcome. You weren't hiding from me. You were protecting your heart from repeated dismissal. But child, you are not what happened to you. You are not what others failed to notice. You are not the sum of how long it took to return. You are not what the silence tried to rename you. You are mine. Still. Always. Even beneath the quiet, I knew you. Even when your heart felt hollow, I held you. Even when you assumed your absence meant I forgot you. I was still watching with full attention. So hear me now, you are whole. Not because you feel it. But because I declared it. You are chosen. You are deeply loved. Not when you perform. Not when you shine. But here. In this stillness. You're not fragile. You're healing. You're not behind. You're right on time, with me. You felt pressure to explain yourself. To defend your quiet season. To make others understand what I've been doing in your soul. But listen, you don't owe anyone an explanation. Your growth doesn't need promotion. It will reveal itself in how you walk with peace, how you answer gently, how you remain rooted even when the world sways. Let me lift the mask now. Not because you are pretending, but because you don't need to survive anymore. Let this joy fill you. Let it stretch the places in you that forgot how to feel light. Let it soften what was once hardened by pain and pressure. This joy isn't shallow, it's holy. It's not fleeting, it's foundational. It's not a reward, it's restoration. You are not stepping into a temporary moment of relief, you're being invited into a new way of living. A lifestyle, not a performance. A life where rest is sacred, not earned. Where silence is trusted, not feared. Where emotion is welcomed, not shamed. Where truth is spoken gently, not demanded harshly. Where I, your God, am not distant, waiting for you to reach up, but ever present, within every breath you take. This is how you begin again. Not with rules, but with rhythm. Not with pressure, but with presence. Not with loud declarations, but with consistent devotion. So come, walk with me again. Slowly. Simply. Sincerely. One breath at a time. One honest moment at a time. One faithful decision at a time. This is what wholeness looks like, not rushed, but real. Fully lived in me. Yes, something has shifted around you. Maybe it's subtle. Maybe no one has said it out loud yet. Maybe your surroundings haven't fully caught up with the transformation happening inside of you. But I see it. And it's real. The atmosphere within you is changing the environment around you. You've changed. You didn't shout it. You didn't post about it. But you stayed. You kept showing up. You breathed through moments when words ran out. You didn't flee from the silence, you let it shape you. That kind of change echoes in the spirit realm. It opens doors. It closes others. And both are holy. Some doors are closing now, not to punish you, but to protect you. Some rooms can no longer contain who you're becoming. Some relationships are no longer rooted in truth. Some patterns that once comforted now feel foreign. This isn't regression, it's resurrection. You're not going backward, you're breaking through. And now, I'm aligning new voices to meet you in this new place. Voices that honor what silence taught you. Relationships that are drawn not to who you were, but to who you are becoming. You don't have to give endless pieces of yourself anymore to prove you're worthy. You never had to. I am restoring your relational ecosystem. You will breathe again among others, without hiding, without shrinking. You've walked into rooms and felt unseen. But I saw you. Now, I'm reintroducing you, not with noise, not with polish, but with peace. You don't need to raise your voice, your presence already speaks. Your gentleness is resistance. Your steadiness is a testimony. Your inner stillness is prophetic. Let that truth settle in you, you are a walking sanctuary. You carry my presence, not just my promises. You no longer strive for approval, you rest in identity. I know it feels unfamiliar. I know this stability might feel like a foreign language after all the chaos you survived. But trust me, it fits. You're not becoming someone else. You're returning to the version of you I always knew. So if opportunities begin to find you now, they're not distractions, they're answers. You've aligned inwardly, and now outward favor is flowing freely. Don't rush to understand every detail. You don't need to. Just let me lead. When something stirs anxiety, pause. When something feels urgent, wait. When something confirms the peace inside you, lean in. Your discernment is no longer guesswork. It's been refined through stillness. You've learned what sounds like me and what only looks like me. Don't doubt that. With this discernment comes quiet authority, not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that shifts rooms simply by being. You've walked through invisibility, not to be hidden, but to be transformed. And now, you will see others more clearly. You will love without draining yourself. You will comfort not because you memorized words, but because I comforted you when no one else could. That's why I allowed the silence. Not to abandon you, but to entrust you. And now, you are ready. You're trustworthy now. With people. With truth. With influence. With silence. You've become someone who doesn't just speak of my presence, you carry it. You'll start to notice me in the simplest places, in the kitchen, in the car, in a quiet glance at the sky. I'm there. You'll be folding laundry and feel the warmth of my nearness. You'll be walking down a hallway and sense my peace. That's me. You've learned how to hear me in silence. Now I'm teaching you how to walk with me in motion. No blueprint needed. Just awareness. Ask me anything. Ask me often, not just the big things. Ask me if you should speak or stay quiet. Ask me what to release and what to carry. Ask me if this is my door, or your detour. I delight in walking with you moment by moment. And I've never left. Even when you were distracted, I was still the ground beneath your feet. Even when silence wrapped around you again, it was no longer cold. It was sacred. Because now you know. Silence was never a punishment. It was a pathway. A sanctuary. A doorway. And that doorway remains open. Even if you go quiet again, I will still come close. Even if the storm rises, I will not pull away. Even if no one else sees the weight you carry, I see it. So walk forward now, not into noise, but into peace. Not into performance, but into presence. Not as who you used to be, but as the one who emerged, awake, aware, grounded in grace. You're not behind. You're not broken. You are beloved. And you're walking in step with me now. Amen. And if this quiet return touched something deep within you, if it reminded you of my nearness in your own silence, don't walk away quietly. Let your voice be heard, even softly. Leave a comment. Share this with someone who may still be sitting in silence, unsure if I'm listening. Because I am. I'm always listening. I'm still speaking. And I'm not going anywhere. Subscribe, stay close, and let's keep walking, together.